Teaches here for another edition of Bradley Teaches Video Graphics for Restream Studio. So I'm just jumping in a little bit early to make sure everybody can get in here properly. If you have any questions today, make sure you use the letter Q or the word question in front of your comment, and that way I'll be able to know that that is what you're doing. You're asking a question, right, about graphics or layout or something like that as it relates to live streaming. I noticed that I missed a couple of comments last week, but I came back in later and answered those. This week is kind of wide open. We're going to be doing some frame overlays, as I call them, and some other stuff as questions come in. So just like always, let me know where you're coming in from. Let me know that you're here. We're going to start officially at the half hour on time. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to get this thing started up in about another 60 seconds officially, and we're going to rock and roll from there. Let me know where you're coming in from. Let me know if you're here or not. And if you have any questions, let me know. And you guys will be the first in the queue today if you have any questions. So we'll rock and roll from there. All right. Let's see. Let's turn this graphic off. All right, let's turn that off. And here I am, Bradley of Bradley Teaches again. As I said, I am here with another edition of Bradley Teaches Video Graphics for Restream Studio. So welcome, welcome, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you all for coming in. Now, if you have any questions, just as usual, put the letter Q or the word question at the front of your comment, and I'll make sure that I get to them. But today, we're going to work on some frame overlays, which are literally framing your video screen, right? So I'm gonna show you a couple different ways to do those. Some ways to actually make window frames. If you have more than one guest on your show, if you wanna share your screen, do those different kind of layouts like that. So we're gonna explore some of those things. And then as always, I'm going to do my best to answer your graphics or layout related questions as it relates to live streaming with Restream Studio. So if you have any questions, let me know. Let me know that you guys are here. I see y'all coming in. I definitely appreciate that. So here we are again. And today we're going to use Canva again. And we're going to create some overlays for Restream Studio. So let me see if I have any old ones in here that I can just show y'all what they look like. Let's see. No, I deleted all those. We're going to make all new stuff today. So we're going to make some frame overlays. I'm going to show you two different ways to make those. And I've probably shown you those before, but I also wanted to show you some different types of things for making your own kind of backgrounds and stuff like, well, not backgrounds, but overlays, right? And cutouts for your video screen to show through. Now, if you're like me, you may be just a single talking head on the screen, and you kind of use maybe some lower thirds that we talked about last week. You may have a logo bug that you use. You may want your name and title to come out on the screen and not use the defaulted graphics or animations that are in Restream. So you want to make your own, right? So that's what these live series is all about. You creating your own graphics to enhance your broadcast and to customize it and to make it your own. And we're just going to happen to be using Canva to do that. And let me go over here to the chat window, see if you guys are coming in. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So what we're going to do. So if you have any questions about any kind of graphics you are trying to create to use for your live streams, put them in the chat. Just put a Q in front of it or the word question in front of it, so I know that that's what you're after. Now, I had a couple of questions that came in through, well, several that came in through my DMs of people asking me about some things that I showed last week. So I'm going to start with that. Then I'm going to go into making frame overlays. So let's get right into it. We're going to jump into Canva right here. There we are in Canva. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make, let's make a brand new design. So I'm going to create a new design and go to presentation, because as I said before, presentation uses the same layout as a widescreen video. 1920 by 1080, high resolution. And that's just what I like to use to get me started. I just jump into presentation. So a couple of things that happened from last week. I made a a couple of overlays with your name and title in it and things like that. And so people started asking me about, okay, I want kind of a skewed edge on my box, or I want a curved edge. How do you do that again, right? Now, if you go here to your basic elements in Canva, there are some boxes that actually have curved edges, as you see here, right? So that's a curved edge box. Sometimes you may have some other kind of skewed edge shapes, but how I tend to make mine, I want people to think about their shapes like Lego. And if you think about your shapes like Lego, it may be easier to create the unique shapes that you want, right? So say for instance, you want to have a name box or box for your name as a lower third. And so it'll be in this corner down here. I'm going to put some text in it. But say you want the edges to be skewed or at an angle. So if you think about it like Lego blocks, you may want to have an angle edge like this, right? So if I line these up, right? So now I can put an angled edge on the box, right? Well, it's not lined up perfectly, but you know what I mean. Right, so I want an angled edge on my box. I'll just create an additional shape and stick to it, then group them. Right, so now I have an angled edge box. Right, so if I wanted to maybe cut the edge off the box, I can now do this, line this up, drag it down to the snaps, and I will color it the same color as the background. Right, and so I'll make it a little bit bigger, but that's essentially what you want to do, right? So that's it. So now you can make angled boxes and things like that. You kind of put together the different Lego pieces to create the shapes you want. So that's something you can always keep in mind as far as if you can't find the shape that you want, you can combine multiple shapes to make the shape that you want. And like last week, my curved edge box. So I had a box here, had a circle, right? So now I have a curved edge box. And so you can do those kind of things to make different shapes, to cut out shapes of other things, and can just kind of create the different designs that you want. Now, if you're going to do a cutout shape, here's something you always have to remember. This works great for the free or the paid version because it can really only be done one way. So if I want this edge to be cut out of my box, I'll make the shape the same color as the background, right? So I want a shape that's like that. And so now when I export this, I would export it as a JPEG, then select all the white and delete it, then save that as a PNG with a third-party software that I use called Photopea. It's a free app that's kind of like Photoshop, but it's free. It has a lot of the Photoshop type of capabilities, right? So you can use that program to delete the background, and now you're subtracting pieces of the shape to make unique shapes. So with that being said, I wanted to show you something about creating frames or frame overlays. So let's go here, and I'm going to show you the two ways that you can make frame overlays fairly easily. And I'm going to grab my secret weapon image, fill the background with it. And if I've said it once, I've said it a bunch of times. But the easiest way to do your graphics, so you won't have a lot of troubleshooting and a lot of nudging back and forth to make sure things fit, is to have a secret weapon graphic like this one, which is basically a screen capture of you in your studio environment. And you use that as your background graphic to draw on top of. So with that, I have my secret weapon image here, and I'm going to go to elements. I'm just going to use basic elements, and I'm going to draw a frame. Now, with this in mind, this can be done in the free version of Canva, because what you're doing is you're not trying to cut a hole out of a shape. You're basically drawing the outer edges, and then you're going to export it, right? With the middle being open. So copy that and paste it. We're going to do just kind of a basic frame for now. And paste again. And we're going to rotate this one to 90. Oh. Now, at its most basic, I have just made a frame overlay. Just that simple, right? Now, it's one color. It's nothing really fancy about it, right? But if I go in here and say I skew this a little, kind of make it a funky kind of shape. And keep in mind, I can tell what's going on here because I'm using my secret weapon image, right? So I'll go here and I'll make this one red. And I'll just make that skinnier. Leave that blue. And we can skew this one. I want to skew it in this direction. Right. And we'll make this another color. Make that green. Different tone of blue. Right. So essentially at this point now, I have just made a frame. Right. And I can export this. If I have the Pro version, I can export as a PNG. If I don't have the Pro version, I can export this as a JPEG, but I like to make the background a dark color first. So I'm going to go here, click on the slide itself, and make that black. Right. So we're going to do it the free way. So just in case you don't have the Pro version of Canva, this is how you can do it with the free version. Yes, you can make a frame out of graphic PNGs created in Photoshop. You can. So if you have Photoshop, all you want to do is bring in an image and then use the marquee tool, which is a circle or rectangle, right? Draw out the shape that you want and then just delete it, right? And you should get the checkerboard effect when you get done to show that it's transparent. Then save that as a PNG and you're good to go. So with this one, you would export this. I'm going to act like I don't have the Pro version, right? So I'm going to export this as a JPEG file and 100% quality. Right. And then how I would do this now is I would just go to Photo P, which is an internet-based application. And I'll bring it over. And I just want to show you how simple this is in Photo P. So now if I go to my downloads where this file was saved, and I can drag it over the window. So here it is in Photo P. And all I have to do now is go down here to the magic wand, which is the fourth tool, click on the gray area and delete it. And now you see the checkerboard pattern, just like you would in Photoshop, right? So now if I go to File, Export as PNG, and I'll save this, I can now use this as an overlay in Restream, right? Because now it has a transparent opening that you'll be able to see the video through. And I can show that to you real quick in Restream. So let me go here to Restream, Downloads folder. Add an overlay. And here's the overlay I just made. So it is essentially that simple. You can draw the edges. That's one way to do it. Now, if you have the Pro version, all you have to do is export as PNG because you're not cutting anything out that needs to be erased, right? Because that's the one thing that adds to the workflow from Canva. You can't subtract a shape from a shape, which is essentially an excellent way to make overlays, right? So there's ways to get around that. You can actually do it this way, drawing the edges, and I'll turn this overlay off for now. And let's go back to Canva. So that's the first way to do one. So the second way to do one, which is essentially what you were asking, Shatera. Hopefully I'm saying that right, Shatera. So this is basically what you were asking. I'm going to go here and delete all these pieces that I don't need. And let's pick a background. We'll just do mountains, right? So here's the mountains. And what I'm going to do now is go back to my elements. I'm going to use the curved, no, not that curved edge, because I don't want a shadow on it. I want a basic curved edge shape. This one, right? And so I'm going to draw this out for the opening that I want in my overlay. Right, so that's the opening I want in my overlay. Those edges are a little bit thick, but that's kind of what I want, right? Now, what I want to do in this case, because this gray is really close to the graphic that's around it. So I want to change the color of this to, we can do a red. Let's do it red. I love to make that a deeper red, but we'll just make it red for now. Well, let's do this. Let's make it a deep red, just in case. Okay, so that's going to be my opening, right? And so I have a graphic. This is kind of like the Photoshop-esque thing you were asking, right? So I have a graphic that I'm using as the background. And in Photoshop, if I drew a marquee like this, I could just click it, hit delete, and the opening would be there, making it transparent. But in Canva, which has a large library of graphics and things like that, I drag one of those in, I draw out the window that I want, right? Now, all I have to do again is just export this as a JPEG, because in this case, a PNG wouldn't work because there's nothing that's transparent yet, right? And yes, I'll replace the image. Okay, so now I have a new one, and I'm going to go back to Photo P. So here are Photo P again. Go File, New. Yeah, I'll just delete the old one. All right, so let's go to Downloads. And here's a new file. Delete the old one. And as you see here in Photo P, you see these little squares here. That means that the image needs to be rasterized, right? So you have to right click on and click rasterize, because otherwise it's a vector image and it won't let you select pieces and delete them. So that was a good thing to actually show y'all right there. All right, so go back here, magic wand, click on the red, delete it. And now I have a picture overlay. So if I go to File, export as PNG, save this one, right? So this is the new overlay that we just made that is an image. So let's go back. Go back to graphics, add overlay. And there we go. So this is a picture frame overlay made completely free with free tools in Canva and Photo P, both free tools, making transparency for free, having graphics you can use for free, and a variety of backgrounds and things like that you can use for free, right? So this is a very easy tool that you can, set of tools that you can use to do some cool things, right? So the first way, you actually draw the frame by using basic shapes and drawing around the edges. The second way is to bring in an image or whatever you want, and then draw a rectangle on top of that that's going to be the opening for your video. Then open it up in Photo P after exporting it as a JPEG. Click the part you don't want, delete it, save as a PNG, and you have an overlay like you have here now. So hopefully that was helpful. Let me hide that. Let me go back over here to chat. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, you're getting like some personalized service today, Shatera. So let me know if you have any other questions about anything else, because I'm here to help. So those are two easy ways to make frame overlays. But now let me do something real quick. I'm going to do a screen capture real quick of something. Just so I can bring those into Canva. And let's go to Canva. I'm going to upload a graphic here that I want y'all to see. And let me go to my desktop. Okay, because here's a graphic I really want y'all to see, right? So these are all the layouts of Restream Studio. Now, this is obviously minus the single window layout. Oh, let me go here. My bad. I wasn't in looking at the app without y'all seeing it. Okay. So here's all the layouts that are in Restream Studio. Now, it doesn't show all the windows because you can have up to 10 windows, but kind of hang with me for a second. So these are all the basic layouts of Restream Studio. And you can click them at the bottom of your working window, right? If you have 2 people on screen, 3 people on screen, whatever you like, right? So the great thing about this that you can do is, open up a secondary window and invite yourself to the broadcast. Or if you have a couple of friends that don't mind coming to your broadcast so you can work on different layouts, invite them, have them jump in, then do screen captures of you and them on the screen and all these different layouts. So, invite 3 friends, then work out some 4 window layouts. Click on this and see what it looks like if it was 4 windows. Click on this one, see what it would look like if it was 4 windows, right? Now you screen capture that, then you bring it into you bring it into Canva, and now you have templates, which I also call secret weapon graphics. You now have templates to use to draw your frames. And an example of that, let me go here to home. These are the series of frames that I'm presently working on that I'll make available to you all a little bit later. But here's a 2-window layout, 3-window layout, another 3-window layout, another version of the 3-window layout. So all of these are 3-window layouts, right? And the way that I did them, so 2, then 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. The way that I did these is that these 2 windows are locked. So I don't have to worry about clicking them by accident and dragging them out of place. So now if I go and I add a photo and I want to use it as a background, position to the back, right? So now I can use my photos back here. I can actually pick a legitimate background image and put it back there. And this is all that's what's cool about this, right? It doesn't affect my windows because I know at some point I'm going to export this as a JPEG and then cut those windows out. So if I go to this layout here, I'm going to go to this layout. I'm going to pick a background. That's okay. Let's go to, that pink's pretty cool. All right, so we go to this one. This is my layout. This is a 3-window layout that I know works in Restream Studio because I did my screen capture and did all the things like that, right? Now, all I have to do is export this as a PNG, open it up in Photo P, select the gray boxes, delete, bring them in the Restream Studio, and now I have an overlay. What I did with this one, these are all widescreen versions, right? So I'll go here, and now I can work out my whole layout. So say, okay, I'm doing a Valentine's Day theme, or I'm a chocolatier, right? And so I know now, maybe I'll leave this here, but now I can use this spot on this side and put a logo there, right? I can make text boxes here, right? Over these gray boxes. But when I delete the gray, I have my layout. So let me go to elements. I don't know. Let's type in candy. I don't know what that's going to do. Say candy. What we got? Candy. Okay. So say I have the candy here, because this layout just kind of works for that, right? And so now I can do like Bradley's chocolates. So let's add some text. I see Bradley's candies. Right. Go here and change the font, make it a little more fancy, do different stuff like that, right? And so all these things are, oh no, not that. Okay, let's go back to the basic one. So we're not messing with that too much. Okay, so now you can make all these other things you want to do, right? Then export this, delete the boxes. Now you have a layout that actually has the logo with it, whatever designs you want with it, and things like that. In Restream Studio, you can have, I think, up to 10 people on screen, which is you plus 9 guests. Now, in those layouts, though, it's probably like this version here, right? It's going to be, you have this kind of layout where it's you big and 9 other people across the bottom. You have this version where it's you big and 9 other people are down the side. There's a version of this for 9 people. So all the different layouts that are in your thumbnails under your work screen will work no matter how many windows you have up to the limit, right? So once you start adding people to your broadcast and you click the thumbnails under your video screen, it'll lay them out automatically for you. And that's what's so great about it, is because you know exactly where those windows are going to be, and you know what size they're going to be. If you do a screen capture, then bring that into Canva and trace out those rectangles, because that's kind of essentially how the graphics you see on the screen now were made. And I'm actually going to make a full set of these with maybe up to 6 people. And I'll make them available for you all when they're ready. But that's kind of what that is right now. So, all right. See if we have any more questions in the queue here. No more questions in the queue. So, but that's at its basic, how to make frame overlays, right? At its core, a frame overlay is a background with a shape subtracted out of it, right? How you subtract that shape, depending on what software you use, is up to you. Now, I've been showing you guys how to use Canva. I also use software called Keynote, which is free on all Macintosh computers. I love using Keynote. It does a lot of cool things, including animation. So I use that a lot. But essentially, you can use any software that will let you subtract a shape out of a shape. But even if it doesn't natively, you can always jump into something like Photopea and subtract that shape out of the shape. But you can use all these things to help you brand, right? Your brand colors, some kind of texture, add your logo to it. And so all these things work with that, right? So even if you're in Canva and you do the same thing with the window cutouts and you want drop shadows on them. So let's go back into that real quick. So I'm in Canva here. And I'm going to release one of these for now. You know what? Let's just copy that slide. I'm going to copy this one. All right. Lock that back down. Okay, so in this one, I want to, so now I'll click this. I don't want to animate it. And so say, for instance, you wanted to do something like have a type of drop shadow behind it, right? So I'll copy, paste that. Let's say I'm going to just color it black just for the sake of doing it for right now. Right. And I do a kind of alignment on that, or to be a drop shadow, position it backward, right? Change the opacity of it or the transparency. Right. So now when you do it, it'll look like your window is setting up off of the background versus the background having a hole cut in it, right? There's these different illusions you can create to make those things work. So there's all kinds of stuff you need to be thinking about as you kind of create these designs and your overlays, because there are all kinds of ways that you can brand your video and make it unique to you. Like I said, using colors, even this idea, right? You can go in here and say, okay, I like that picture, but not quite. So I don't want to use those. So you can use different filters on it. You can adjust it, the brightness, saturation. You can blur it, right? So it's not so strong. So that way kind of sets back off of your video window. So there's all kinds of different things you can do for that. Can I make the grid available to assemble layouts? Not sure what you're asking. Are you saying the grids you see on screen now, can I make them available for you guys to do layouts from? I can. They're not done yet. It's not quite done yet. Now, yeah, so they will be made available at some point. Not this week, but I'm trying to get them knocked out for you guys probably for next week to make them available for you all. So yeah, but those are the different things that you can do. Let's see. Yeah, but that's some things that are possible. So I don't want to go down like a rabbit hole and kind of take you guys places that you don't want to go. So if you have any other questions, please let me know. Are there any graphics that you're presently working on that you are trying to create that you need some help with and things like that? I don't know everything Restream, but hey, it's a Q&A type of thing, and let's ask away. If you got a question that I may be able to answer, can't guarantee that I have the answer, but there's some things that I can probably tell you about Restream. Most of what I do related to Restream is going to be graphics related, though. And that's what I use it for, is to multi-stream across multiple formats and utilizing the graphics and things like that. So if it's kind of graphic related with Restream, likely I can answer that. Maybe some other things too, but just let me know. Let's see. Depends on what you mean by update. One of the more recent updates that came out was the animated backgrounds. I think that is officially released now. The Restream website does have I think it does. Well, I'm probably part of a different group than you guys are, but the release dates for different kind of features are coming out. They kind of come out to a select group of people to play with for a little while. And then to make sure everything is working well, then they release it. So yeah, one of the most recent releases is animated backgrounds. And now right now, the animated backgrounds are some defaulted animated backgrounds. I think at some point they're going to make it so you can use your own animated backgrounds, but the initial release now is of some defaulted designs. Yeah, that I do not know about, showing notifications for view account and yeah, for Trovo. I don't even know what Trovo is, honestly. Yeah, OBS Studio. Yeah, using OBS Studio as your virtual cam into Restream. So if it depends on what apparatus is reading the viewer count. So right now, because I'm using Restream Studio is managing the viewer count. If you're using OBS Studio and using Restream to multi-stream it, your viewer count is probably coming through OBS, not Restream, because OBS is what you're using as the main broadcast hub. But in this instance, right now, I see how many people are watching, and it's telling me where people are watching from. If I just mouse over the eyeball. Okay, I got you. Yeah. You went down your own little rabbit hole with that one. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't know. But it just depends on what the um what the main apparatus that you are pushing your content out. That's where the view account's going to come from. Now I have used stream widgets. Yes, widgets from Stream widgets, yeah. I've used Stream Labs widgets. I've used those, and they have some view account widgets and things like that that sits on top of your broadcast, depending on where you're broadcasting at, right? So if you use Streamlab widgets as a YouTube widget, it's going to show you how many people are viewing on YouTube. Facebook widgets going to show how many people are viewing it on Facebook, right? But if you're using Restream Studio, it's going to show you how many people are viewing it from all the places that you are posting it. But if you want a third party apparatus to show the people that are watching it how many people are viewing it, that I don't know. Because I'm guessing that's what that little app that you're playing with will do is show your visitors how many visitors are watching your broadcast. And that I don't know. All right. Let's see, y'all. Thanks for the question, though. I'm sure that was clear as mud, but um, yeah, and I answered that one about the Restream updates. Yeah, they're pretty. I'm not gonna say they're frequently updating, but usually when they do update, they are really open and free on pushing it out and letting people know there is an update. There's usually even an announcement video to go along with updates, so look out for those on their channels. All right, let's see. What do y'all want to make? Let me see. Um, so last week I did the thing about people saying they wanted the different pieces to do stuff. So that's kind of an easy thing to do with that. Um, Sidebars, things like that. Now, here's something that somebody asked me um, about transparency in graphics. Now, if you're using a free version of Canva, this will not be possible, unfortunately. If you're using the paid version of Canva, you can export images and graphics and overlays with some transparency, which means you can see through them a little bit. Because when you say export as a PNG with transparency and the graphic has some transparency or less than 100% opacity, you can see through it. If you're using the free version, you can't export as a PNG. And if you change the opacity of the graphic or image or whatever you're doing, it doesn't really matter because there's always something behind it. So it's going to look like it's a solid color no matter what. Hope you guys are getting that because you can only export as a PNG from the free version, which is a solid background image. So there's no transparency in that. Now, what you could do, just made me think about that myself. Okay, so let's go here. Just made me think about that. See, that's how we workshop stuff too. Let's go back to Canva. And here's a little, here's a little sidebar that I made, right? And I'm going to export this as a JPEG. So let's do that. So file, export, JPEG, 100% quality. I'm only going to do slide number 9 because that's all I need. And done. export. Okay, so I'm only going to export slide number 9. I'm going to call it number 9. So I'm going to export, I'm going to show you both ways that this could work or not work, right? So essentially, if I'm doing this as a JPEG, the JPEG has a solid background, so there's no transparency of the images. Let's drag this over and delete this one. And right click on this and rasterize. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go to my magic wand, click the background, delete it. Now, as you see here, this is a solid rectangle. So it doesn't matter what I did in Canva, this background is gonna be solid when I export it. But if I go over here to layer 9 and change the opacity to 80, you can see through it a little bit. I'm not sure if you can see that on your version. You should be able to make sure everything is a little bit lighter. Now, the downside of this, if I was doing this design, I would want the bar to be a little bit transparent, but I wouldn't want the text or my face to be a little bit transparent. So that's the downside of it, right? But I'm going to export this anyway. File, export as PNG. Now, no, because you can't export it as a Photoshop file. But say, I mean, it's a little bit more work. But if I did the bar as one graphic, the text as another graphic, and then the face as another graphic, I could bring in all 3 of those layers into Photopea, stack them up, make the bar a little bit transparent, and leave the other 2 layers solid on top of it, glue them together, then export that. So that could be done. But this is kind of just a quick and dirty thing I'm doing here. So I'm going to go back into main window, go to graphics, upload an overlay. Right, so now this overlay is kind of translucent, right? You can see through it, but you can see through everything, right? That's not the perfect way to be, but it is kind of a way that you can do things, right? And this is something else you can do with your graphics, a sidebar, right? You can do sidebars, just like you could do lower thirds, right? You can do other things to enhance your video with graphics. So here's another one, a sidebar. Let's go back to chat here. I saw some things coming through. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, that's basically what I was just saying. So you could also in Canva make 3 slides, right? One slide with the bar. Well, 2 slides is really all you need. One slide with the bar and another slide with the face and text on it. Export both of those slides. On the slide with the bar, when you bring it in, change the opacity of it, knock it down, and then the other layer, just make another layer for that on top, right? And then you could do it that way. And so, you know what? Let me show you guys essentially what I mean with that, because I want you guys to kind of know this technique, and it'd be good for you just to know. All right, so here we are in Canva. And so this is my sidebar. I'm going to make a copy of it. So sidebar number 1 would just be the bar. And number 2 would be no bar. Oh, you know what? Yeah, and see, that kind of goes against what I was saying last week. Because if you have the free version, you do not want to export any text without it sitting on a box or bar, right? Because what you don't want is to open this up in Photopea and have the magic wand out all the little stuff here, right? But I think I have a way to do something. Let me just try it. So I'm going to do a third box with just the text. So bar face only, and then third bar text only. And so what is that? 9, 10, 11. So let's just workshop this thing out. Now this is assuming you have the free version of Canva. If you have the pro version of Canva, you could have all those elements combined on this one, change the opacity of this box, export PNG, you're good to go. But we're going to do this the fully free route, right? So box, emoji head, text, right? So let's go to share or download, PNG, JPEG, because I want to act like I don't have the paid version. And we're going to do boxes. We're going to do 9, 10, 11. 9, 10, 11. Done. Download. So what we're going to do here is download these three. We're going to open these up in Photopea as 3 layers. And we're going to combine those layers in Photopea and make a translucent sidebar, which is not the problem, but then have the text and the emoji head on top of them, right? So that's that for that. Let's just see. We're going to workshop this thing out. So we're going to go back to Photopea, and we don't need this one. It's not going to be the one we're going to use. Let me go to my downloads, open in Finder. Okay, so 3 layers, grab them, drag them in. Okay, so there's the 3 layers. Here's a layer we don't want, delete it. So first we're going to go here and we're going to put the sidebar on the bottom layer, right? So for the emoji head, we got to rasterize all 3. Okay, so for the emoji head, we can actually do the wand and delete everything around it. So we're good with that now. For the text layer, we need to change it from a normal layer to lighten. Ta-da! Because it's white. White is the lightest color. So no matter what, if I only show lightened things, then only the text will show. And so now for layer number 3, we're going to magic wand that. Delete that. So now we're going to go back up here to layer 11 with the text on it. And we're going to delete that same space on that one, right? So lighten only, go here, level 3, knock down the opacity to 80. All right. I think we're good. Nope, that's not going to be the opacity because it still has that dark spot you're seeing through for that one. Yeah. Yeah, that's the only downside of using text that's not in a box, right? Because you don't want a magic wand through all the text, because the text will work great like this because I'm using the lighten filter on it, lighten only. So it's only going to lighten whatever's behind it. But you still have that gray that's being recognized. That's the downside. Because if I did screen, right, it screens the color. Overlay makes it dark. But lighten only will only show the white, but it doesn't provide the transparency option to see through it. So that's the downside. Yeah. So almost there. So say if I took the text out, right, I could do just this. And if I exported that with the solid emoji head and the transparent bar, that would work. So that's a way to do it, but it's not optimum. Yeah, it's just hard if you're using the free version and you want your text to have transparency behind it. It's going to be real difficult with the free version. You want to always have your text inside of some kind of a box, right? Because it just makes it easier to make the background transparent. Hola, ¿cómo está? All right, y'all. Let me see. Yeah, the only downside to this was a great suggestion like we were talking about before. The only downside to that is that you can only use one layer at a time in Restream Studio. Now, if I could use 3 separate layers, right, I would just export just the bar and then make another layer of just text, then make another layer of just an emoji head, right? Then load all 3 in Restream Studio and eyeball all 3 of them on. But in Restream Studio, I can only have one overlay on at a time, or one layer on at a time. Now I can use a logo, a overlay, and a background all at the same time, but I can't use multiples of any of those at the same time. All right, y'all. All right, y'all. So let me see if you have any more questions. I actually had a buzz that came in. Unrelated. Is that unrelated? Yep, that's unrelated. All right. So yeah, if you have any questions about anything else, I am good to go with that. And I just realized that's the wrong date. Today is the 13th, and my title says the 6th. Attention to detail. All right. Let's see here. All right, y'all. Oh, don't forget, I'm going to put this up here real quick for y'all again. Make sure that if you have questions in the upcoming weeks and you want to make sure that they get answered during the broadcast, make sure you go to this form, bradleyteaches.com/RS for Bradley Teaches Video Graphics for Restream Studio. And you will have a form there that you can fill out. It'll get into the queue, and you become the first questions that I answer in that broadcast. And I take questions in this form from the ending of each show till the day before the next show. So basically, Thursday evening to Wednesday is when I take all those form questions. Then I answer those first in that Thursday's broadcast, and I'll keep up that cycle. If you prefer to send me a message, those are fine also. I'll take them any way you guys want to send them, and I'll make sure they get in the queue. All right. Okay, y'all. So I think we are rounding the last corner here. I'm about to shut this down. So if there are no more questions. Now, what I would love for you guys to let me know, either in the comments here or in the forum or DM me or email me or whatever you like to do. Let me know the different things that you all would like to learn in these broadcasts. I have a simple agenda that I come into each broadcast with, but I don't want to lead you guys down rabbit holes and start teaching you things that you're not really interested in. So I always want to give you something that's helpful, but I always love to bowl down your alley, so to speak. What are you working on? What do you need help with? What are you trying to create with Restream Studio? Now, also, if you have a stream that you would like me to look at as far as graphics are concerned, as far as branding is concerned, I can use screen captures from it, and I can review that here during the broadcast. Have any questions, obviously. Have any kind of graphics that you have created that you want me to kind of review for you, I can do that for you. If you have something that you're trying to create and just wondering, can that be done with Canva? Can that be done with Keynote? Shoot it to me, and I would love to work on that and workshop that out right here in the broadcast. So that's where we are for now. And if there are no more questions, put a last call out for questions. And if not, we're going to end today's broadcast, and I will see you all next week. So let's see. Yeah, and this question was asked earlier. Let me see if I can go to Photo P. I'm going to go to Photo P, and let's go back to Photo P real quick. So here's Photo P is kind of like Photoshop, right? So I'm going to go here and do that. Let me just make that yellow, right? So I'm gonna go here, and this is kind of how Photoshop will work, right? So I have, imagine this is a picture. So you have a picture here. I can just select the area, and obviously I can do this in Photo P because I'm doing it now. Select the area, hit delete, and now I have an overlay. It's as simple as that. So you can bring in any kind of image that you want into Photoshop or Photopea, and you basically just select what you don't want and delete the rest. Let me see if I have any images in here. Have some old thumbnails. Oh, I know where some is. Okay. And we'll do this real quick, and then that will be the end for today. Let's go here. Okay, here's a cool kind of just watercolor background. Okay, so you bring in any picture that you want. You can draw your rectangles out like this. Rasterize this. So delete. So maybe this is a screen share version, right? So I'll do this and make one wide, one small. This is all rough cut, nothing for real, right? Don't need that one. And I've basically made an overlay now. This is an overlay. So if I go here to File, Export as PNG, save it. And let's go back to the main screen here. Graphics. Just showing you how simple it really is to make overlays. They're not, I have no idea why I saved that at. Oh, there it is. Open that. This is going to look weird because it's just me on the screen. But here we go, right? And it's that easy. So I'll just lean over a little bit. So you can grab any graphic, any image, bring it into Photopea, draw rectangles on it, delete the rectangles, then export as a PNG, and you have an overlay. It is that simple. So with that, last call for chat. Cool. With that, I am Bradley Vincent of Bradley Teaches. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. I will see you all next week. Keep on creating, y'all. Join me next week for another broadcast. Drop by the website and fill in your questions to get into the queue so I can answer your questions first. Otherwise, guys, have an awesome weekend. Have an awesome week next week, and I will see you all then. Bye-bye.